Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to this session of course Therapeutic Nutrition. This is the third module, that is etiology, clinical features and nutritional management of gastrointestinal tract disorders. This is the fourth and last lecture of this module, and in this lecture we shall be studying about nutritional management of hepatitis. I am Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, presently working as Assistant Professor in Government College for Girls, Ludhiana, Punjab, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. And this project is funded by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. In the previous lecture, we had studied about etiology, clinical features, and nutritional management of celiac disease and lactose intolerance. In this lecture, we shall be studying about the functions of liver and then what are the agents which are responsible for liver damage. Then we will study the etiology of infective hepatitis along with the symptoms, and then finally we will study about the nutritional management of infective hepatitis. Liver, the smart organ. The functions of liver are most varied and extensive, and any change in the normal function can actually affect the nutritional status of a person. The liver is considered as one of the most important organ which is involved in the metabolism of each and every nutrient. The simple digested products of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals, they are taken to the liver. The liver will either store them or it will produce some new compounds which may contain fat and protein, and the products that help in clotting of blood are also formed in liver. The liver also removes the nitrogenous products which are a result of protein breakdown, and it will convert it into urea, which is then excreted from the blood through the kidneys. It also removes certain toxins. The liver has an important role to play when it comes to metabolism of either carbohydrate or fat or protein. Now let us explore some of the important functions which our liver performs. So along with managing carbohydrates, proteins and fats in the body, it performs some important task of intermediary metabolism. So that pertains to interconversion of macronutrients such as gluconeogenesis, that is the production of glucose that happens from other than carbohydrate sources. So gluconeogenesis from amino acids, then conversion of glucose into fatty acids, or ketone body formation. Ketone bodies, they are formed from fatty acids, and along with that some interconversion of monosaccharides also occurs inside the liver. If we see the synthesis function of liver, then it is useful for the production of plasma albumin, then alpha globulin, then certain lipoproteins, transferrin, it is an important compound, and other carrier proteins and coagulation factors are also synthesized in the liver. Another function is excretory function. It will be useful when it comes to excretion of cholesterol and other steroids, which will include certain steroid hormones also. Then bile salts and pigments and many drugs and toxins, they are also excreted by the liver. Liver also performs an important storage function. That is, it will store glycogen, vitamin A, vitamin D, B12 and iron. And if we talk about the immunological function of liver, it is an important part of the lymphoreticular system. And once it comes to hematobiosis, it is the main site of formation of erythrocytes in early fetal life. So now we have seen how important is our liver and the variety of functions it is performing for us. What happens when the hepatocytes are damaged? Hepatocytes are the liver cells. And what is the effect of damage to the hepatocytes on our health? Let's explore. The pathological changes in the liver, they can occur due to various reasons, and they range from causing reversible to irreversible damage to the hepatocytes. So the first change that is seen in the liver is called fatty infiltration. That is the deposition of fat droplets inside the hepatic cells. Now, it is a reversible stage, and if changes are made in our diet and certain lifestyle modifications are made, it can be reversed. But if the changes are severe or they are of long duration, it will lead to necrosis or fibrosis of the liver cells. Necrosis is the another stage, that is a second stage which follows the fatty infiltration. This is due to excessive alcohol intake or due to neglected liver infections. Liver may become tender or enlarged in this condition. This is due to inflammation reaction which is produced by the necrosis of hepatic cells. Necrosis means cell death, that pertains to death of hepatic cells, which may be slight, involving a part of liver lobule, or it could be extensive. Next stage is the cirrhosis. Now, this term refers to the color of nodules of hepatic cells which regenerate between the strands of fibrous tissues. Once the cell necrosis happens, there is a replacement of each and every dead area with some fibrous tissues. So this is the end of the liver disease, where the functioning cells of the liver, they are replaced by the connective tissues. We call this stage as cirrhosis of liver. So this is a pictorial depiction of damage to the liver cell and the progression caused. For example, healthy liver cell is replaced by the first stage, that is fatty liver. This is replaced by the inflammation, and along with that fibrosis can happen or cirrhosis can happen along with some cancer or cirrhosis. So the stages up to here, which are shown in the blue form, they are reversible, and that can happen with diet, exercise, weight loss or some kind of interventions. But the portion shown in the red, that shows the area which shows that liver has reached a stage where the irreversible damage has happened. Jaundice is a symptom which is common to many diseases of liver and biliary tract. It is a term given to yellow discoloration of skin, mucous membrane and body tissues because of accumulation of bile pigments in the blood. Now let us study how this condition develops. After 120 days of life, the RBCs, they are broken down into the product of RBC. We call this product as bilirubin, which is yellowish in color. This pigment, bilirubin, will travel to the liver and then gallbladder and then the whole digestive tract, and it will be excreted in the stools and urine along with bile. But when there is increased destruction of red blood corpuscles, or there is decreased functioning of liver cells, or there is obstruction to the flow of bile from the liver cells, the excretion of the bilirubin is not carried out, and this leads to accumulation of bilirubin inside the body. Now, this increase in bilirubin content of the blood above the normal range, that is around zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.8 milligram per 100 deciliter of plasma. And when this pigment is seen in the lighter parts of our body, we call this condition as jaundice. Now, here I would like to emphasize again, this is not a disease. This is just a symptom indicating that there is some issue related to the condition of liver. Now let us study what are the agents which are responsible for the damage to the liver. The deficiency of protein, it can lead to fatty changes in the liver cells. When high proportion of fat is seen, such as in starvation, diabetes, obesity, high carbohydrate diets, all these changes, they can cause harm to the liver cells. Now, these changes, they can be reversed with changes in diet. And for example, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which has become a very common liver disorder these days, that indicates that when we do some correction in our diet, we can actually reverse this condition. So, because this NAFLD, that is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it is caused when their diet contains high fat, high carbohydrate diet, and there is lack of physical activity. Then it is associated with some dietary deficiencies, which could be associated with the poor dietary intake, less intake, or starvation that leads to dietary deficiencies. Such an example is seen in case of kwashiorkor or marasmus. Certain infective agents such as virus, they can cause hepatitis, as the liver cells, they are particularly susceptible to such infections, and these are the commonest type and causes of liver disorders. So especially these viruses are caused by the different kind of viruses. We call it hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, hepatitis D, and then hepatitis E. Along with infective agents, there are some toxic agents which can actually damage the hepatocytes, that is liver cell. It could be alcohol, natural toxins, or certain drugs. Alcohol is a natural toxin, and its consumption is a leading cause of liver cirrhosis, as 90 to 95% of alcohol is metabolized in the liver only, and large amount and frequent intake, it can actually cause damage to the liver cells. The effect on the liver will vary individual to individual, but severity and time taken for symptoms to appear will also vary. It leads to fatty changes, and if the person keeps on taking the alcohol for a longer period of time, it may progress further and cause cirrhosis. Certain natural toxins which are occurring in the food, such as aflatoxin, which is produced by a mold which is commonly found in the peanuts and other grains, it can actually cause damage to the liver. And then along with that, there could be many drugs such as paracetamol, then organic hydrocarbons, then carbon tetrachloride, arsenic, etc. And then there are some drugs also. Now we know that there are variety of reasons which can be responsible for the damage to the hepatocytes, that is liver cells. Now let us study one type of liver disorder that is known as hepatitis. Hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver. The condition can be self-limiting or it can progress to fibrosis or cirrhosis or liver cancer also. According to World Health Organization, an estimated 325 million people worldwide, they are living with either hepatitis B or C. And for most, testing and treatment is not available. And some types of hepatitis, they are preventable through the vaccination. A World Health Organization study has also found that an estimated 4.5 million premature deaths could be prevented in the low and middle income countries by 2030 through vaccination, proper diagnosis, medicines, and educational campaigns regarding hepatitis. So this hepatitis, it is of two types. It could be infective or it could be drug induced. Let us study what is infective hepatitis. Infective hepatitis is an infectious disease which is characterized by inflammation and degradation of liver cells, and it interferes with the uptake of bilirubin by the cells and its conjugation and final its excretion from the body. This is a commonest cause of jaundice. Now there are five main strains of the hepatitis virus which are referred to as type A, B, C, D and E, as we have already seen in the previous slides. While they all cause liver disease, they differ in important ways, including what is the mode of transmission and then the severity of disease they will cause, then geographical distribution and some prevention methods. In particularly, if we see the type B and C, they lead to chronic disease and hundreds and millions of people, and they will be affected by these viruses, and this will lead to liver cirrhosis, cancer, and other viral hepatitis related deaths. Now let's study about different type of viruses causing different type of hepatitis. Hepatitis A is common among children and young adults. It is extremely contagious and most common type of virus which has been found to affect the liver cells. And then it is transmitted through the oral fecal route. The incubation period of hepatitis A virus ranges between 14 to 28 days. As it is acquired by mouth through fecal oral transmission and it replicates in the liver. After 10 to 12 days, virus is present in the blood and it will be excreted via the biliary system into the feces of the infected person and is most often transmitted through the consumption of contaminated water or food. Now, let us see what are the symptoms. The symptoms of this illness typically they have abrupt onset of fever. Then there will be malaise, anorexia, nausea, abdominal discomfort, and then dark urine and jaundice will be seen. Clinical illness usually does not last longer than 2 months, although 10 to 15% of the persons they will have prolonged or relapsing signs and symptoms, which could go beyond 6 months also. Now, this virus may be excreted during relapse also. Now, let's study the second type of virus affecting the liver cells and causing hepatitis. As the name suggests, it is caused by hepatitis B virus. The transmission occurs through exposure of infective blood, semen, and other body fluids. This virus can be transmitted from infected mothers to infants at the time of birth, or it can also be transmitted from the family member to the infant during early childhood. And then transmission can also occur through transfusion of this virus contaminated blood or blood products, then contaminated injections during medical procedures, or through some injection drug use. This virus also poses a risk to healthcare workers who sustain accidental needle stick injuries or while caring of infected patients. The incubation period of hepatitis B ranges from 45 to 160 days. The clinical signs and symptoms they occur more often in adults than in infants or children who are usually asymptomatic during their acute course. However, approximately 50% of the adults who have acute infections are actually asymptomatic. The pre-ecteric or the primordial phase from the initial symptoms to the onset of jaundice usually lasts from 3 to 10 days. During this pre-ecteric phase, it could be non-specific symptoms which could be experienced by the person, such as sudden onset of malaise, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, and then there could be pain in the right upper quadrant of abdomen. Then there may be fever, there could be headache, myalgia, there could be skin rashes, and then arthralgia and arthritis. That means the pain could be felt in the joints. Then the urine will become darker, beginning 1 to 2 days before the onset of jaundice. This stage will be followed by the second stage. We call it ecteric phase. This is variable, but actually it lasts from 1 to 3 weeks and it is characterized by jaundice. Here the person will be passing light or gray chalky stools, and there will be hepatic tenderness and hepatomegaly. And during the convalescence, malaise and fatigue, they may persist for a longer period of time, maybe weeks or months, whereas the jaundice, anorexia and other symptoms, they may disappear. Most of the time, persons with the chronic infection are often asymptomatic and may not be aware that they are actually infected. However, they are capable of infecting others, and that is why we call them carriers. These chronic infection is responsible for most of the hepatitis B virus related morbidity and mortality, including chronic hepatitis, then cirrhosis, liver failure, and hepatocellular carcinoma. Now we have safe and effective vaccines which are available for the prevention of this hepatitis B virus. So the next type of hepatitis is caused by hepatitis C virus, and this virus can both cause acute and chronic hepatitis ranging in severity from mild illness to lasting a few weeks to a serious lifelong illness. And globally, it is estimated that 71 million people they have chronic hepatitis C virus infection. And hepatitis C is also a major cause of liver cancer. Hepatitis C is a blood-borne virus. So even exposure to small quantity of blood which is infected by this virus is sufficient to cause illness. So injection drug use, then unsafe injection practices or unsafe healthcare, transmission of the unscreened blood, and blood products, along with some sexual practices, they can lead to exposure of infected blood. The incubation of hepatitis C virus is 24 to 84 days, and there is no vaccine to prevent the spread of this hepatitis C virus illness. Next is hepatitis D virus. This infection occurs only in those who are infected with hepatitis B virus. The dual infection of hepatitis D virus along with hepatitis B virus can result in more serious disease, and the outcome could be actually worse. Hepatitis B vaccine that provides protection for hepatitis D vaccine also. So the next known type of hepatitis is hepatitis E. This virus spreads through consumption of contaminated water or food, just like hepatitis A. And overcrowded, unsanitary areas are prone to acute form of this type of hepatitis. But there are some other practices such as ingestion of some food items such as meat and meat products which are derived from infected animals. For example, pork, liver, it can cause the infection, transmission, and then transfusion of infected blood products. And along with that, some vertical transmission from pregnant woman to baby can also occur. And safe and effective vaccine to prevent this virus is available, but it is not widely distributed. So the initial phase of this disease will be just like another type of hepatitis which we have just studied. The initial phase will be marked by mild fever. There could be anorexia, nausea, vomiting, which will be lasting for few days. Some persons, they may also have abdominal pain. Then there could be itching without skin lesions. There could be skin rash, or they may experience joint pains. This condition will be followed by jaundice, and the person will be shedding the yellow colored, dark yellow colored urine along with light colored stools, and there will be slightly enlarged tender liver. We call this stage as hepatomegaly. Now, these symptoms are often indistinguishable from those which are experienced during the stages which are other than liver illness, and this will typically last for 1 to 6 weeks. So let's summarize what we have studied so far. We have studied that the functions of liver are most varied and extensive, and liver is considered as one of the most important organs which are involved in metabolism of each and every nutrient. It performs many important functions such as in intermediary metabolism, then it helps in synthesis of so many important compounds, then it has some excretory role also, then it helps in storage of certain nutrients, then it has immunological role. Along with that, it is also a site for production of red blood corpuscles. And we studied that there are some pathological changes in liver. We call it starting from fatty infiltration, which will lead to necrosis and then fibrosis. If it is untreated, it will progress to cirrhosis of liver. And then there are major factors which cause damage to liver cell. They are dietary deficiencies, toxins, and certain infective agents. And then we studied about jaundice, which is a symptom common to many diseases of liver and biliary tract. And it is a term given to yellow discoloration of skin, mucous membrane, and body tissues because of accumulation of bile pigments inside the blood. And then we defined that hepatitis, it is an infectious disease which is characterized by inflammation and degradation of our liver cells. It interferes with the uptake of bilirubin by the cells and its conjugation and excretion from our body. And then we studied about various type of viruses causing hepatitis. They are hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. And in the second part of this lecture, we shall be studying about the nutritional management during hepatitis. Thank you.